I'm pretty nervous. Of all the challenges Kris has given me, this one feels the most public. Even doing burpees in the mall, like I didn't have to say anything. Nobody was gonna say, this guy's a moron, because I was just doing burpees. I mean, they thought I was a moron, but it probably looked like I was put up to it. So it's really gonna come down to how well I know the information and how well I can communicate that and deliver that.
I've asked Carson to go out and find 8 people that own a piece of property with equity and convince them that they shouldn't pay off their house. I've given him the ammunition and he has to convince 4 of them to not pay off their house. And if he doesn't, he's got a super nasty punishment coming his way.
So pretty nervous. Okay, I guess let's bite the bullet. Let's get in there and do it. Hey guys, how we doing? Welcome, friends. My name is Carson Tejan. I'm the CEO of Uplife and a real estate investor. And yes, my thesis today is that you should not pay off your home. How's it going?
All right. How about yourself?
I'm Carson.
I'm McKay.
McKay.
Yep.
All right. So my thesis is that you shouldn't pay off your house.
All right. Well, then mine is that you should.
So tell me why you should.
Well, let's say that you're trying to not pay off your house and you're using that equity to invest in more property and be able to rent that out to other people. But then what do you do when you get a bunch of people who aren't very reliable? They're not paying their bills and they file for bankruptcy, and now you're just caught up in a bunch of legal complications trying to just get them out of your property so you can have other people in that are actually giving you that cash flow.
For sure. I have been renting homes for years, and I've gone through my share of complicated tenants, but there's a lot that you can do to screen for that. Like, there are literally hundreds of thousands of people who overcome that hurdle all the time, and the easiest way is to have property management, and they just deal with it. You do want to make sure you're investing in the right areas, but I don't see that as a reason. Just because there's an obstacle, I don't see that as a reason to just like back off and just be like, okay, I'm not going to play the investment game at all.
Okay. Isn't that going to mean that you have a lot more expenditures, though, if you're having someone else deal with that for you?
Yeah, I mean, most property managers takes about 8 to 10%.
Okay.
But if you buy in the right places, it still pencils out.
Okay.
Yeah, you just have to buy in a place where the rents are covering more than what your mortgage is.
Okay. So what if you just have just a handful of homes that you're trying to utilize instead of a whole bunch of properties?
Yeah, I think that's great. You're saying, should you be trying to pay them down?
I'm saying if you have, say you're just trying to make cash flow out of like 3 different houses, and they say you end up with 3 people that just, they're not paying
You're
on
saying
time.
like the perfect storm of 3 people.
Exactly. Yep. As you're first getting up and going.
The beautiful thing about real estate is there's always going to be an option. You can always sell. You can always look at it. As long as you don't sell at the bottom of the market, you're not going to really lose your shirt. And that could happen. I recommend having a Swan account where you are building up funds so that if something like that could happen, you could float the property for 2 to 3 months without having a tenant in it. But again, yes, there are risks in doing real estate, but I think the bigger risk is taking like your primary residence as one of your best assets. And the moment you pay it off, you can't leverage that asset anymore. Like, you can't use it to go do other stuff. Real estate gives you lots of optionality. As soon as your house is paid off, you have no options. Yes, there's no obligation, and that's why it's very appealing to people. But for most people, it ends up being a very emotional decision. It's like, I'm doing this because I'm afraid of bad things happening. But you'll find most people who are very, very wealthy have gotten there through real estate or business and having assets. They come with a lot of risk, but it also comes with a lot of reward.
Okay. So if you have the luxury of making those risks, then it's worth doing.
I think everybody can get to a point where they do that if you buy right.
Okay.
My first primary residence had a basement apartment, and that set me up for a lot of options moving down the line.
Okay.
Good?
I think they're all
Thank you, McKay. That was...
cast me off the island.
You're good. Thank you for coming out, McKay. A little nervous here.
You're nervous. I'm nervous. Okay.
So I don't think you should pay off your house.
Okay. I think I should pay off my house for peace of mind. So, in my situation, I'm a single mom. I've got kids at home, and I need to provide a stable, secure home environment for them. And managing my finances responsibly is really important to me. And so, I feel like paying off my home, even if I can pay it off faster, frees up more cash once the home is paid off, which gives me more financial security.
So it looks like it gives you more financial security, but it actually doesn't because of two things. One, if you took every dollar that you put into extra payments on your house and put that towards investing, it'll grow faster than the what you probably, I mean, the median home price right now is like 425. So average payment is like $3,000. So in a year, you may be saving $30,000. But if you put that towards an investment and let that accumulate, it'll answer the one question that your plan doesn't answer. And that is when you retire, even if your house is paid off, how are you going to pay for life?
Okay. But how does buying multiple homes make it so that I can retire?
Because you will, each of those homes, if you buy them right, will cash flow. So you'll get a monthly income from it. But more importantly, homes appreciate with time.
But
And you can turn one home into multiple homes. I've done it. You hold on to the house, you rent it for a few years, 3 to 5 years, and then you turn around and sell it, and you take the equity that it built up, and then you buy more properties with it, and that cash rolls forward. And you do that through your working life. Because the real answer is, in my opinion, once you retire, you need enough residual income to be able to cover all of your expenses. And if you've been dumping that into paying off your house, you now have no income. And what that ultimately does for you is, yeah, you don't have this big bill when you retire, but you're still going to have to work. So it's like you're not really retired.
so you're saying I should take the money that I would have put into paying off my house
And
sooner
invest it.
and invest it in real estate. But
That's what I would
in
do.
order
Yes.
to accrue enough money to invest in real estate, that's going to take me as long as it would take to pay off my house early.
I don't think so. If you were making multiple payments on your house, it's going to take you quite a few years to pay down that. But you only need $30, $40, $50,000 to start getting into a home. You save for a couple of years instead of dumping it into your house, and you're going to be in a pretty good position to do something with that.
And you mentioned to the guy earlier that you can leverage your house when it's not paid off.
Yes.
How does that work? Because if you, like, say you take out a HELOC on your house, you're going to have to pay on the HELOC
Sure.
and pay on the house that you're investing in. And like the guy was saying earlier, then what if your renters aren't paying? You have to be able to cover your HELOC, cover your own mortgage, and cover the mortgage on this investment property.
For sure. Yeah. Everything that you were doing in real estate, you're going to have to do it smart. It's not like you go out there willy-nilly and just do it. Thank you. Thank you, Laura. Nice to meet you.
Very nice try. All right, let's go ahead and reset the timer. But before we jump into the next round, I want to do just a little vote here. You can vote by Benjamin. How is he doing at convincing you? If we were just to vote that you are convinced, how's he done so far? So raise that dollar bill if you feel like you are convinced. We got one medium and 3 tiny wiggles. I don't know what the conversion rate
Thanks,
is on
guys.
that.
I'll be here all week.
But we probably have some time for another round or two, so take a deep breath. All right, very good. Yep. All right, come on up. Next round, and let's restart that timer for 5 minutes.
How's it going?
Hey, good to meet you, Carson. Awesome. So,
Tell me your name.
Matthew.
Matthew.
Yeah. Totally great to meet you too. Totally agree with all of your points about real estate investing and buying investment properties.
So are you on my side?
I'm on your side of that.
We did it, guys.
But what I really have a hard time with and have some good points to disagree with you on are your primary residence. So I have 2 different houses. I'm over $1 million in debt, and frankly, I don't necessarily see myself as wanting to pay those off to a lot of the points that you're making. However, when I think about where I want my primary residence to be, the peace of mind of knowing that I no longer have, because my primary residence, my ideal dream home, like in 5 or so years, is not going to be a home that I'm going to cash flow, right? primary residences are traditionally a huge money pit. Americans put like 40% on average, or around, like they're putting a lot of their paycheck into their primary residence. And so being able to pay off the primary residence more quickly, the peace of mind that can come from that, and freeing up your earnings, like having a low cost of living, buying a modest, reasonable, nice home, and then paying it off quickly, you can still access those funds if you need to through a HELOC, but paying off that home more quickly is going to allow you to save thousands on interest, especially because up front you're paying all interest and you don't have rental income that needs to be offset for tax gain there. So instead of paying, like I love the interest payments that I'm making when I'm cash flowing, because then I can offset the rental income. But on my primary residence, I don't actually get the same type of benefit from paying that interest. And so I'd rather pay the principal down more quickly and then be able to actually have that property paid off sooner, and I can still access the equity there through a HELOC if I need to.
So the question would be, it's about the velocity of money. Mathematically, what you're saying doesn't work. It works for peace of mind, but it works for a minimal income. And the question is, what do you want your retirement life to look like?
Well, like,
do you want to travel?
no, yeah, I want to
wanna
live
have
a great,
Good
like-
cars? Do you? My problem is most people say they want to be wealthy, and then they go the Dave Ramsey route, and they pay off all this debt. And your biggest asset is not your primary residence. Your biggest asset is actually not your money at all. It's time.
It's your paycheck.
No,
That's
it's
your biggest asset.
It's not. It
Or
is time.
your income is.
It is 100% time, because what you can do with money over time, if you were to start your real estate journey, is start your investment journey at 50 and you've only got 15 good years, in order for that to grow, your whole plan doesn't work. Your plan only kind of works because you're doing it. Sorry, how old are you?
27.
This only works because you're kind of mostly young and you've still got a long working career ahead of you. What you said about being able to still get a HELOC on your home, as soon as you retire, you can't.
You don't have the
You
income
don't have
to
an
support
income
it.
to
Yeah,
support it,
yeah,
and
yeah.
the bank will look at you and say, "We're not going to give
But
it
at
to
that
you."
point, when you retire, you should have your primary residence paid for anyway.
I say-
in theory.
Tell me,
Or would you just
be
pull a
totally
HELOC
honest-
on it while you're
tell me
still
totally
working?
honestly, which would you rather? You get to retirement and your home is paid off, or you get to retirement and you have $10,000 of monthly residual income? You don't have to work and it just comes in. What would you rather?
So you're saying that instead of when you naturally, let's say you just naturally pay your home off over 30 years, right? Would you say that you should get a HELOC before you're done working so
I
that
have
you
HELOC,
can continue?
yeah, on every one of my houses.
Okay, so you're
I pull the equity in out and
yeah.
invest
So
it.
you're debating not only like should you not pay your home off more quickly, you're actually debating you should just keep your home as leveraged as possible, right?
Intelligently, yes. And
Yeah.
It's about the velocity of money. And by the way, will there come a time if you had this residual income and you're retired and you're like, a lot of my
Might as well,
residual income,
right?
might as well pay it down.
Yeah.
Because now I'm in the sunset years.
Uh-huh.
But what most people do is they waste their best years
Yeah.
paying things
Yeah, yeah.
down.
Uh-huh.
And
So-
they're not velocitizing that money, because you could invest it and have it growing, whereas no debt doesn't grow.
Yeah.
That was good because he went
Hey,
2.5 minutes
thank you.
with 3 of those bills up there.
Thank you.
Finally broke it. All right. So good. Okay. We're definitely progressing this conversation. It's been interesting to see the evolution of the comments. We're going to take another round, though. Another bold soul. All right. Quick to the seat. Let's restart
Thank
that
you
timer
for this
for 5
experience. Yeah, of
minutes.
Lay it on me.
Yeah, of course. So you're talking about essentially timing, and the timing with paying off your house, because you just said to Matthew, it's like, yeah, you can pay off your house,
For sure.
but it's later on, right?
Order matters.
And so you're saying essentially you're agreeing with us that you should pay off your house. It just
You
later.
should never pay off your house until you have a residual income that meets all of your expenses.
right.
At that point, it doesn't really matter what you do. Even then, I wouldn't do it, because you can continue to leverage it. So if something's working before retirement, why would I stop after retirement?
Yeah.
Most people want to pay off their home because of fear.
Yeah.
It's an emotion-based decision. But when you look at the math of it, it doesn't pencil out.
Yeah, and I get that. So the only thing I would say is that there is a lot of power when it comes to a peace of mind. I mean, that's why you have life insurance. That's why you have other type of insurances, even on your home, right?
You don't want to pay off your life insurance?
I mean, you can't really like if you die, right, then it gets paid out. Is that what you mean? Like all I'm saying is with things that, peace of mind, stuff comes up and you have to be prepared for it. Like what she was saying earlier, having your house paid off, I look at a house as a personal residence as not necessarily an asset, but as a liability. And so you want to get rid of all of that.
When most people retire, they end up having more equity in their home than they do in a 401k or an IRA. It ends up being someone's greatest asset. And to pay it off, you can't leverage it at that point and propel it forward.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this peace of mind, I think, is false.
Yeah, but the way you can
think
leverage
you're
it.
safe because you're like, I don't have to owe anybody money.
Yeah.
But if you're not financially free, what's the difference?
You're making your kids financially free because of the step up in basis, right? So when you die, let's say you do pay off your home, everything is paid down, right? And so they get all the equity on top of that plus the value of your home.
Now imagine you had 20 of them that went to your kids.
Yeah, but then all of those step up in basis doesn't matter because you still have all that debt that they have to pay off of those properties and that they have to inherit.
What does it matter if the end sum is the same or more?
Yeah, I get that, but at the
Because
same
the more
time,
at the end of the day, the more cash you have at play in the real estate market or even in any investment market, the more cash you have at play, the greater it's growing.
and
So
so
most people get to retirement and it's like, man, I wish I had 2 primary residents. I wish I had 3 because look how much it accumulated over time. And most of that is not because of you paying down the principal. Most of that is because of sheer appreciation on the home.
right. So what about the liability that you carry when you have multiple loans in your name and you have millions and millions of dollars of debt, and then
It's up here.
you're saying, yeah, but like you're saying that is better than not having a mortgage payment and having, any income that you were making at the time go right to your
Then
pocket,
my
then investing
instant question would be, do you want to be wealthy?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's better being wealthy than it is.
means having liabilities and things at play in the world that have risk.
Yeah,
Like I don't see a way of having your cake and eating it too.
yeah, but not liabilities that are going against you, right?
Well, define against you.
Well, like your
In
home.
2008, your home wasn't going for you. It turned into a liability because the market turned. Like if we're talking perfect storm scenarios, I can give you a perfect storm for every scenario.
Yeah, I get that. And that's why you should pay off your home. Because if there is a perfect storm, I mean, the chances of that happening, it's happened twice in the last 15 years, right? Since 2008, it happened. It's happening now because the getting into a home and being able to pay off is getting harder and harder, right? And so you want to be able to pay that down so you have that opportunity to go do other things instead of putting all of your money into just your home. Like you want to use that money that you're earning to go do other things, right? So you're getting rid of that
So you're
liability.
putting it into your home and you're going to spend 20 years paying down your home and not experiencing life. And then when you retire, you have no residual income, but you don't have to pay on your home, but you still have to buy groceries, you still have to pay your car payments, you still have to pay your life insurance, you still have to pay for all this other.
Awesome.
Or,
Sorry, tell me your
or
name, Stephen.
Benjamins.
Nice meeting you.
You got pretty close though. All right, so good. Okay,
Thank you.
We're not
Sounds
quite
good,
yet. We're not quite there. I'm gonna have another round of voting. We did do one more. Oh, last time we had a half and like 3 wiggles. I'm excited to see how this is progressing. All right, we'll go ahead, jump you right in. He's a bold soul. Very excited for his.
Eric, nice to meet you. Thank you for sitting down.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, you brought me
Some money. Yeah.
some money.
Yeah. Since that's what it seems to all be about.
Yes.
So that's my main argument for the reason to pay off your home. I feel like all the arguments you've made are very good financially. However, peace of mind does add different value to your life. Let's say I want to focus on starting a business or focus more on my kids or future kids, by the way, but focus on different goals that I have in life. I may choose to pay off my home for those reasons. So the arguments you make financially, it's hard to beat. But if you have other goals in life, you may choose to pay off your home.
So I'm a big proponent of business. I actually think that business can outpace real estate by far by giving you cash now. If you get a business, it's hard, but if you can do it, and I would say rather than dump money into paying off your home early, why don't put it into your business? Like, yeah, if that's like really where you want to focus, do that.
I'm more.
Because time is the biggest thing. How old are you?
I'm 29.
29. You are going to get to 40 and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, what I care about when I'm 40 is so different than in my 20s. And like the time you're spending now and have all the energy to do these things like launching businesses, play with kids, go on trips, travel, like that time is so critical that if you play small, you're going to wake up close to retirement. And instead of having peace of mind, you're going to have a midlife crisis. And you're going to be like, yeah, my home's paid off, but my life is almost like I'm halfway through and I haven't done any of the things that I wanted to do. And at that point, you're going to be like, how valuable was that peace of mind? Because by the way, through those 20 years, you still will have turbulent times. You still will have experiences that are hard, difficult, scary.
Yeah, but the mental space that you create for yourself by paying off your home, you're able to just
Let me
do
ask
so
you
much
this.
more.
Let me ask you this. Just cut and dry. Would you rather have $10,000 a month residual income or a paid off house?
It depends on the timing, I guess.
Right now.
Right now?
Yeah.
Probably would rather have the 10,000 of residual.
And that's what I'm saying is your asset can give you that, but if you're paying it down, you have nothing to invest.
Yeah. But however, if I wait like a little bit longer when I'm in a better spot financially, I may want to just pay off the house. So that
Sure,
I can
if you're in a
have-
better spot financially. And that's why I think the order of things is really, really critical when it
dang.
comes to this.
We got lots of Benjamins in the air.
Wrap it.
Yeah. So good. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
This is good.
All right. Okay. Woo. All right. Well, I'm going to do a round of voting now. Okay, we're good. So the question is Carson convincing you of his thesis? By a raise of Benjamin, how you guys feeling? Last time we had a half and 3 wiggles. Is Carson convincing you of this thesis? Is this a vote? Like, okay, yes. All right, solid vote. We got 2 votes. All right, 2 votes, and a handful of wiggles. So you're making progress. That's great. Okay, we're gonna go another round. We have another brave soul. All right, let's restart the timer for 5 minutes.
I'm Dominic.
Dominic, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yep.
So, Carson, you sound like an expert in real estate.
I'm not an expert in real estate.
Can you give me kind of your background on your knowledge and your...
You've done a good job. Go have a seat. Let me tackle this one, all right? Guys, give Carson a round of applause.
Hey,
I'm not an expert. Several red.
hey Kris, Dominic.
Dominic, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Let's hear your argument.
Are you taking the side that you should not pay off your house?
You should not pay off your house.
Okay.
Paying off your house would be the dumbest decision of your entire financial life, and I'm going to prove it to you.
Okay. What's your background in real estate? What are your credentials to have to say that to me?
$2 billion of transactions on 6,500 single-family homes.
Okay, so you have a lot of experience in real
Yeah.
estate, right? And you're telling who that they shouldn't pay off their house?
Anyone that wants a bright financial future. I want you to think about this for just one moment. Where are Americans at 65 years old? They have $255,000 in a 401k and an IRA. On average, they have $327,000 worth of equity. So they spent 40 years doing it, preparing for retirement. And after 40 years, they're going to take their $255,000. Dominic, their financial planner is going to say, let's annuitize it at 3%. You're going to make $637 every month in retirement. Can you retire on that plus Social Security? There's no way you can because you're going to fall below the poverty level. So then you sit there and think, well, this is really weird. My accidental retirement plan was equity in my house. $327,000, that's more than my $255,000. Shoot, I wish I had 10 homes. If I had 10 homes, I would be worth $3.2 million. And guess what your residual income would be? It'd be over $100,000 a year. So what I'm arguing is actually, it's not even about not paying off your house. Carson's right. It's about paying off your house later. When? When your residual income from all of your houses is greater than your living expenses. Once that happens, go pay off your house.
But what are
Before
people
that happens,
supposed
don't
to
do that.
What are people supposed to do who don't have billions of dollars in transactions like you
All right.
with their money?
So here's
who
what I
are they
would
going to
say.
give it to? Where are they going to put
I don't
their
think you
money?
should give it to anyone. I think that's the problem. You're not people, you're sheeple. You're trusting the system that says you can't manage your money. And here's what I'm saying. Yes, you can. Read my book, Follow 5 Simple Rules, and I'll show you how to make 25% on your money on every real estate deal. And what happens if you throw $50,000 into a single real estate deal over 20 years? it turns into $4.3 million. Now imagine doing that 10 times over.
That math is crazy.
That math is-
I don't believe you on that math.
And here's why you're not going to believe it. We're going to pull out a future value and we're going to let Google say that Kris is right and you're wrong. Why? It's a very simple future value calculator. The calculator just says, if I was earning in my 401k an average of 4.2%, the 20-year average, my money is going to triple over 20 years. If I have it growing in real estate at 25%, which I've consistently done on thousands of deals and I can show you how to do, you're going to take that money and you're going to make 27 times more money. It's just math. And what sounds crazy to you is that compound interest is worthless when it's single digit in an IRA or 401k, or even just sitting in the equity in your home. But guys, you put that into game of real estate at 25% and have that compound, that's what actually turns into millions of dollars. That's why 90% of millionaires are real estate investors.
And so the average person can do this because you've obviously got a lot of experience.
I have many millionaires that I've created over the years. You, by the way, are you average, below average, or above average?
Well, you always want to prop yourself up, right?
If you're below average, you can still do this. The question is, can you follow a really simple system and buy the kind of houses that I show you? And for the average person, the answer is yes. The question is whether you have the courage to take care of your family, not today, but also tomorrow. See, the gentleman that was just up here previously asked a good question. What about the cost of peace of mind? And I'm like, yeah, peace of mind today. Don't invest, have peace of mind today. Guess what? In a decade, will you still have peace of mind? Sure, you're working. As long as you're working, you'll have peace of mind. But guess what happens when you're retired? You don't have work, you don't have money, and guess what? That house that you paid off, you're now gonna sell it to buy a couple more years, then you're gonna downsize, rely on the government, and rely on your children. That's what your financial future looks like if you don't own your financial future.
Gotcha. Is that it? Are you sure? Are you done?
You tell me, are you convinced?
Okay, we hit our 4 Benjamins as well. Finally, these guys are putting you out of your misery.
By the way, Dominic asked really good questions. Give it up for Dominic. Thank you for that. Appreciate that.
So
Came
good.
in there like a
So
missile.
good.
I was like,
like a missile,
Carson,
right?
come sit right over here.
Watching Carson. And to be fair too, like, man, your peers, they let you roast, man. Like, I was wondering, are they gonna put you out of your misery quick? Right? No, they enjoyed it, I think.
Hey, I want to vote, and whoever doesn't have their bill in the air, I want them to sit right here.
All right, let's vote. Pay off your house. I want to know the vote that we're doing here with the raise of your Benjamin is: are you convinced of the thesis that you should not pay off your home?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're missing one.
Right here.
Come on, buddy.
Come on up. Let's have a conversation.
Chris, you know?
What's your name?
Matthew.
Matthew. Nice to meet
Yeah,
you. Thank
good
you
to
for
meet you
being
too,
here.
for sure. So agree with a lot of what you're saying. The only thing that's hard for me is this idea that there is a right time, right? And I'm a little bit further ahead. I have
What do you say? 27 years old?
27 years old.
27. You have $1 million in debt on real estate.
Yeah, like 1.1.
homes.
Yep, 2 homes. They cash flow really well.
Okay.
I live in I've eliminated my living expenses, so can apply all of my money that I earn towards investing and different
Very cool.
real estate or other things, right?
Yeah, well done.
So I think for me, it's more a question of like, okay, there's a lot of obviously interest, guaranteed interest that I can pay off early, right? Like
Yeah.
putting in a little bit of early payments.
Yeah.
And if you can build a nest egg that's going to be strong enough during retirement, like I want to still get real estate,
Yeah.
but simultaneously putting some money into paying off my home more quickly
Yeah.
in that scenario doesn't seem totally like a horrible idea.
Okay.
Whereas if you have no real estate and
Yeah.
you have nothing
Yeah.
and you only have, $1,000 to invest a month,
Sure.
I can definitely see how, like, why would you be putting that
Yeah.
$1,000?
So here's what I hear you saying, Matthew, right? What I hear you saying is, I've already started my real estate investing journey. It's working. Why be extreme? Shouldn't I also put some money towards paying off my house? Do I hear you right?
Yeah.
Have you gotten ahead by having more than one house?
Yep.
So how much further would you get ahead if you had more houses than that?
Yeah, for sure. More ahead.
Yeah, so let me ask you, what would then be the fastest way of paying off your house? I just want to play the fastest game.
Yeah.
If you're like, you know what, I'm so risk averse, I want the safest way possible. I'm going to apply logic from Warren Buffett, which is one of the richest men on the planet. And here's what he says. The greater the margin of safety, the safer you are. Here's what a margin of safety is. He would say, if 2 houses is working for you, then 20 houses is going to work way better. If 20 houses works for you, then 100 houses is going to work better. And here's what his logic would say. If more houses is more cash flow, is more safety, it also means it's the faster you're going to pay off a house. So if your goal is, Kris, I really want to pay off my house, here's what I would say. Buy more houses and have your money make more money. Why? You're going to pay off your house sooner. Would you feel better if you paid off your house faster?
Yeah. So here's my only question. So at what point do I say that's enough, and now I'm going to use some of that money that I've earned through real estate? You know what I mean?
I'll give you a perfect answer.
Okay.
If we were to design your lifestyle today, I'm going to ask you for some vulnerable numbers. What would you say your monthly expenses are roughly right now?
I mean, like $1,500 a
Good.
month.
$1,500 a month, super cheap. Now, let me ask you this. Let's say you're out of debt, your houses are all paid off. What would your ideal lifestyle cost you? Like, we want to take a certain number of trips. I want to create memories for my kids. I want to put them in these things. I want to do foundation work. Like, how much would you want to spend a month if you wanted to live not your current lifestyle, but your best lifestyle down the road?
Yeah, probably like $20K a month.
$20,000 a month. Buy more real estate now, and you're going to get to $20,000 a lot sooner, which means that the memories you want to make, you don't have to push off 40 years, maybe only 15 years. In other words, I'm interested in not safety. I'm interested in you living the most fulfilling life possible, which means if it's $20,000 a month, don't think of $1,500 a month. That's short-range planning. Plan for the real future. Here's the real future. Do enough investing not to have the security of a paid-off house. Do enough investing that you have $20,000 a month residually coming in, which means now I can have a paid-off house, but guess what? I now can buy all of the experiences that my life or my children or my family require to live the most fulfilling life possible. If you want that life to come sooner rather than later, buy more houses instead of paying off your house.
Yeah. I guess at what point with all those houses, let's say I probably will get to like 10, 15, maybe 20 houses. At what point do I want to have, 50% equity in them or more in order to combat things like 2008, versus just, because a lot of people who were really leveraged they kind of, lost a lot, right, in 2008.
Here's what I would say. Follow me, play with me. Let me reward you for being here today and everyone else that's here. And let me show you why I didn't lose a single house in 2008.
Okay.
Let me show you why everyone took a bath and why I didn't, so that you can have confidence in your system. Because based on what you've told me, you're actually taking on risks in the kinds of houses that you're buying. I would never buy an investment property that was worth more than $400,000. My average is just over $200,000.
Wow.
That is what will keep you safe. So not only can I make you safer, I can get you where you want to go a lot faster.
Cool. Okay.
Deal?
Yeah.
Thank you,
Sounds good.
Matthew.
Thanks, Kris.
Guys, give it for Matthew.
You want to call another vote?
Let's call a vote.
That was your only abstaining Benjamin. All right. We got 100%. Yeah,
All right.
Got it? All right. Guys, give it up for Kris, though. That's a lot of energy.
Hey, guys, give it up for Carson. He got us 25% of the way there.
Give it up for these guys for being willing to come and talk. Be vulnerable. I was nervous. Hopefully I wasn't the only one.
You did great. You did great. Anyone have last questions anyway, just about anything? I would love, Ryan, I would love to get every participant here. Like, I would love to swag them up. I'd love to share our entire investment strategy on our new real estate document that shows our last several thousand homes, show you how to be safe. Because right now you have how many houses? Yeah, if I had $1 million in real estate, I want that split over 3 and maybe 4. And what it's gonna do is it's gonna give you a margin of safety, because I'll tell you, when 2008 hit, $1 million house became worth $500,000. But your $500,000 house is gonna become a 300. But if you buy one of my $250,000 houses, it's gonna be like 220. You're not gonna take a bath. You're not gonna wait 7 years on recovery. You're gonna keep cash flowing it. Rents are gonna go up. You're actually gonna be in a stronger financial position, even though equity is gonna be temporarily down while human beings keep doing what they do. They make babies. People wanna live in this great country. Trump's attracting a lot of people into this with immigration. And what that's gonna do is it's going to bolster the need for more houses. More houses will always push the values higher and higher. So there are 324 markets that make up the United States, and I only buy in the top 5. So I gave you all an example of a 25% ROI. My average ROI on my last 2,130 rentals is 60.65%. Now, if we start comparing everything that you're doing financially in life to those ROIs, your money literally grows 75 times faster than a 401k. And at that point, Warren Buffett would scream, that's your largest margin of safety in real estate, which means it's your safest position and where you'll actually make the most money. Great question. We're going to do one more right here and then
Recap.
What do you do if you're still trying to get into your first home?
yeah, if you're trying to get in your first home, you have this really amazing advantage of a house hack, which is a 3% down payment. which means that it's a lot easier to start getting into real estate. Like when I bought my first house, I didn't put 20% down because it was an investment property. I put 3% down, which, in our Utah market, for example, here, you're going to be maybe $9, $10, $11, $12, $13,000 for a down payment instead of like $70,000 or $80,000, which means you can pull the trigger on that sooner. If you have a family, get a mother-in-law apartment, a basement apartment, a duplex, a fourplex, rent out the other 3 units. If you're single, then get a house with maximum number of bedrooms. Like I found one with 5 versus 4, but it was older. But why did I do that? Because I had higher rents on the 4 single rooms that I rented out, which now covered maybe my entire mortgage. That's how you get your start in real estate. Great question.
Yeah, I just want to echo that actually. That's how I got my start. I didn't have this big chunk of cash come in and be like, I'm just going to go start buying investment homes. I followed Kris's model on buying that first primary residence, and I was able to get one that had a basement apartment that covered most of my mortgage. And I tell you, having that was better than having a paid off house because it's just money that just keeps coming in. And then that enabled me to take every dime and save it to start buying investment properties. So it works. Do you buy your first home right? Once you're in the game, you can stay in the game and roll it forward.
Now, what I'd love to do real quick is just pass the mic around and just ask you all one question. What was an argument made today that sealed the deal for you and got you thinking, yes, pay off a house, but not first, after I've achieved a level of true financial stability? Let's just raise your hand. Ryan will pass the mic, and let's start over here. And just share. What was the moment for you that got you changing your mind?
Yeah, it was the numbers. And seeing the return on investment. I love the idea of apartments and investing and things like that, but then seeing how much of a return you can get and how fast you can scale that's what sold me on paying it off later.
And that's my same critique for Carson in our debrief, which is he made a lot of convincing arguments based on principle, but he didn't use numbers.
Right.
And for this is a logical decision. The peace of mind is an emotional decision. So you're going to use principles for emotions and you're going to use numbers for logic.
Fair. I think for me, it was seeing that the safety route isn't really all that safe in the long term. So if you can essentially live the life that you want to now, that's going to be a lot safer anyways and set you up for safety in the future. You're kind of getting the best of everything.
100%. What's weird about 401ks and IRAs is that they're mutual funds. And every 7 years on average, the market takes a big dip, like a 30% correction. And it takes usually about 3 years before it comes back. So we go through that cycle every 10 years. It's really volatile, but that's what average consumers do. Instead, we say put it in real estate. The national average on growth is 4.65%. If you go in the top 5 markets, it's considerably higher. And then people always forget about leverage. I can only buy $1 of mutual fund with $1. But in real estate, $1 will buy me $5 of real estate because the bank will put up the other 80%, which means if my appreciation in my market is 8%, you get a 5x multiple on that. Now I'm making 40%. And it's like, whoa, just this one thing alone, literally, I am making 40% versus a 401k's 4.2%. And it's not just 10 times more money. It's now compounded, which means that it can become literally 40 or 50 times more money and yet doesn't have that. It's weird that like our alternative of what we're doing in real estate, far more stable, my opinion, and actually mathematically, when you look at 401ks, it's like a roller coaster of really low 30-year average ROI. So 100% agree with that.
For me, it was just seeing the numbers of how much I can get out of the equity. Like I have so much equity in my home now that if I had multiple homes that had that much equity in them, I'd be making that money so much faster than I could ever make it in a 401k or in an IRA.
So Stanley Thomas did a study of accidental millionaires, who becomes millionaires in America. And in his study, he found out that how they did it was by making one mistake or doing something different than everyone else. They would buy a home like everyone else. Of course, they would care about paying it off, but really they were just raising their family there. And then 5, 7, 10 years later, something happened and they moved because there was a job relocation or their house was too small. These millionaires just decided to keep the house and rent it, whereas everyone else sold it and transferred it into their next house. What it meant by that simple little pattern change is by the time they got to retirement, they usually had 3 or 4 homes. That automatically put them at a status of over $1 million plus in equity. And so like if I were to give everyone just one piece of advice, they're like, I don't know if I want to become an investor. I'm like, cool, don't. But if you ever buy a house, never sell it.
Retain the asset.
Retain the asset. Yeah.
Yep.
So what helped me understand it better was when you explained that it's really not that you never pay off your mortgage, but that it's a matter of timing,
Yes.
and that the decision comes when the residual income that you have coming in satisfies you,
Yep.
meets your goals and what you want. And at that point, then it's fine to go ahead and do it.
Yeah, and think about it this way. When I put my money in real estate, I'm earning 60%, but let's say that you're earning 25%, a really low rate. 25, why would we try to pay off a house? We're trying to eliminate a mortgage of what? 3%, 8%, 5%. And so we have to just play the game of what's bigger, 25% on a new asset or trying to pay off a 5% asset over here. It's arbitrage. 25 is bigger than 5. It has a delta of 20%. So it's like, as long as you keep it in an additional property versus paying this one off, you're of course going to make a lot more money. And then you get to a point where it's like, I remember when I sold my first home and I cleared like 65 grand. And I went to the bank like a champ. Like, I'm feeling so good. I've never had 65 grand in my bank account before. And I deposited it and I felt like a stud. And then by the time I left the bank, I felt like a loser. Because when I contemplated what I was going to do with the money, I was like, oh, flat screen TV, a nice car. I'm like, no, I'm going to buy a house. I had a house. It was making me loads of money. I had tax benefits on it. It was growing. I could have just refinanced, pulled it out, kept the asset, and had another. And that was the moment when I learned one of the most valuable lessons. If one house extra is better than just the one that you live in, then 2 will be better. And if 2 is good, 4 will be better. And if 4 is good, 8 will be better. And now it's like, it's a multiplication game. Once you find something that works, most people, unfortunately, will stop doing it to invent a new wheel. And that's a really weird thing about human behavior. Guys, in the game of money, when you find something that works, you don't stop. You maximize it until it's doing everything it can. And then if you want to go find a new game, go find a new game. Unfortunately, most people find something that works and then they stop. Most investors will pick up 2 or 3 properties, and then a decade will go by, and it's like, hey, why didn't you do more? They were stuck in the 30-year payoff game, which is, well, if I just hold it long enough, the renters will pay it off. I'm like, yeah, but the equity in that home, once my house is half paid off, I'm always going to harvest the equity out of it and multiply or double or triple my portfolio, because more houses is more good.
Yeah, I like that this strategy seems to be applicable and available to average investors.
Oh, yeah.
You know, going and buying an apartment complex is a big thing. It's a big purchase, and people live in single family homes, so it just feels more available
right?
to and doable. Yeah.
100%. It is accessible to everyone. Like, honestly, I don't feel like I was born with any extra special bonus brains. I went to college. I wanted to be a doctor. I failed out of pre-med. I couldn't even get into that. I don't feel like God put special time into the way I operate and think and the way my brain works. And so I was looking for something that really an average person could do. And real estate did it.
For me, it was the type of property and like the price point of the property. You say 200,000, 250, on average, and then taking the blinders off. Living in Utah, thinking that in this market, I'm gonna get a 50-year-old house with walls falling down.
Yeah.
A pretty hammered property. How am I gonna make money on that? And so having the realization that in better markets, obviously outside of Utah, at a cheaper price point, which if I'm risk adverse and very conservative, okay, putting a 20% down on a $250,000 home, eliminates some of that risk for me, and helps me sleep better at night.
Yeah. I would also add that not all real estate is created equal. I am not saying become a real estate investor, because most strategies I don't believe in. If you read my books, I'm going to share with you a specific strategy that is designed to maximize ROI and create a maximum reduced risk. So how do I make the most money with the least amount of risk is what this is predicated on. So when I tell everyone you can do this and make 25% a year, it's not hard. Making 60% a year is. It takes a professional team of experts, and 60 is not just double of 25. Exponentially, it ends up being about, a lot more money, about quadruple the amount of money that you would make otherwise. So yeah, really good point.
So I'm a real estate agent and love real estate, and actually, came in probably more closely aligned with you from the get-go, but wanted to kind of consider this other side. I think the thing that was surprising to me that I think was new was like just really realizing like how right now, my total mortgage payments are like probably around 7,000, right? Um, and to me, that feels like a lot of money. So like eliminating that,
Yeah.
just in theory, just sounds so cool because
Yeah.
that's an extra 7,000.
Yeah.
But the cash flows are strong enough; they bring in 10,000 or almost 11,000 a month, and
Yeah.
so there's plenty of delta there to where it's a great return, and it's not actually something to be bothered by. And I think realizing also like 6,000 or 7,000 right now might seem like a lot, but like if you just keep doing what I've already done,
Yes.
then actually like I mean for you like $7,000 feels like for me probably like $70 does. And so like just that concept of like you no longer work like imagine having so much more
Yeah.
abundance to where that payment that felt like a lot when you were thinking smaller is now so small that you don't even really have to worry about it. And you could squash it like
Yeah.
that if you wanted to. And that's where you're like, sure, you could pay it off, but it wouldn't even impact your ability to continue investing.
I actually feel bad every time a debt gets paid off. Makes my wife happy, but she knows it's so cringy for me because it's usually eliminating like a 3 or 5 or 7%, debt. I'm like, the money, honey, that we're putting towards that, like I know how to make 10 times more money than that. So it's like, it's never logical to me.
Yeah.
But you do bring up a good point. The reason why most people want to pay it off house is for a feeling. It's for peace of mind. And when you involve feelings with finances, people end up usually making very poor decisions. And so at some point, part of financial intelligence requires us to be able to do the math and know the numbers, to compare ROIs, understand arbitrage, so that we can do a fair comparison and say, well, does this make sense? Like, for example, if I could put my money into a stock account that I knew could consistently pay me 6%, instead of putting it towards a mortgage at 5%, there's a 1% delta. That's not a tangible benefit. It's not a meaningful benefit. I might as well eliminate my debt and go for the peace of mind. But the moment you can create a tangible benefit significantly greater without more risk, and that's the crazy part. This is the fallacy. People believe that if you make a lot more money like I do, that must mean more risk. And here's the irony. I can argue all day long that me making 75 times more money is less risky than the stock market. Because at any day of the month, when someone dies, someone got cancer, you need to pull money out of the market, you can't time it. Buffett can't time it. Musk can't time it. And because you can't, you might be taking a bath. Like my buddy after 2008 that lost 50% of his retirement in 7-Eleven as a high up executive, when the year before he had talked to me about buying a bunch of houses, and he came back crying and saying, I wish, Kris, that I had owned all these houses, because guess what happened to the value of real estate after 2008 in the entry-level price range within 5 years? Dude, it exploded. I made my partners, investors over $100 million when everyone was saying it was the worst time. So you also have to learn to think counter-cyclically that the media and popular ideology when it comes to financial intelligence is almost always reverse of the truth. In other words, when everyone runs this way, you want to go the other direction. Thank you.
Yeah, for me, I think just trusting the process is what made the most sense to me of like, if you're able to cash flow or get close to cash flowing on one house, you can keep doing that on additional homes and growing your equity and your cash flow that way. And that itself could bring peace of mind, because peace of mind's huge for me to be able to focus on the things that matter to me in life and be in a good headspace for those that I love.
Yeah.
And so I think it's tempting to think that paying off the home is going to help me be in that best headspace.
Yeah.
But the process of building my portfolio could actually be the way to be in that best headspace.
Well, and if I could give you one caution, in every relationship dynamic, are you married?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, when you do, there's always going to be the aggressor that likes to hit the gas on the car, and then there's always going to be the more conservative that wants to hit the brakes. I'm going to tell you, you're more conservative. And if you're likely going to marry someone who's more aggressive than you. But if you win every financial argument and can prove that you always want to take the conservative route, it will be you that ruins your family's finances in the future. The person who wears the pants that is the conservative, that doesn't allow for investing or taking calculated risks, is always the reason why you have that nesting instinct fulfilled today of like, we're safe and secure, we're safe and secure. As long as you're working, you're safe and secure. When you're 65, you will not feel safe. You will not feel secure. You will have brought doom to your entire family. Why? Because the purpose of risk is not about being secure today. The balance that you all need in your game plan is you have to find a way to have a plan that says, I know how I'm going to be where I want to be when I'm 65 and I can't work anymore. And I need to have the security that I need today. When you have both, you win. The people that put up blinders and they just say, safety today is all that matters in 20 years, safety today is all that matters, 20 more years, we're screwed. We're screwed. Why? Because we didn't take risks. You have to take calculated risks to get anywhere. So just that's something I'd really think about as well.
It's great.
Yeah. I don't have strong opinions. All right.
So that you guys know, I'm spending the next year being Kris's apprentice. And he's putting me through a number of different challenges. One of the first ones was to go convince my wife to pull her money out of her 401k invest in real estate. That was a fun debate.
He failed.
I did not.
Bro,
She's agreeing to it.
Who was in the pink tutu at the mall doing 100 burpees?
It was a freaking technicality. She said no because she wanted to see me do the punishment. And yes,
like your wife
when I fail challenges, I get consequences that Kris designs. Yesterday, I was sitting in the Provo River out here, fully dressed and eating
your favorite
sugar snap peas. I'd eat an entire bag of it sitting in frigid water. Because you guys didn't raise your hand, thanks. I believe you're gonna do something to me this coming Monday, and I don't know what it is yet.
Every single week.
Are you gonna reveal the consequence?
I'm not gonna reveal it, but I will on the next video.
Okay.
But
So
Carson,
that's what this is all about, is me learning how to take these strategies and implement them. And he's like drilling home this idea of knowing the value of the equity in your home. And he's like, I want you to convince a bunch of people.
yeah. So here's my feedback for you, Carson.
Yes.
I thought that you actually brought a lot of intelligent arguments. I didn't see you have notes. You brought a lot of valid principles, but the problem that I had with your argument here is the same problem that I've had in the past. I think it's also why you didn't pass with Shalina. It's because you're using a lot more emotional argument and you're not actually going to the numbers. And when you invest in the game of real estate, at some point, you don't really, I believe, become a true investor until you know your numbers. So here's the difference. Hey, there's a really good deal. I think we should do it. It's got a great ROI. Versus, guys, normally I look for a 25% ROI. I'm projecting a 34% ROI. This is significantly higher than what I normally see. Numbers are going to create a different level of certainty in you and your loved ones and the people that you spend time with, than rather just going a little bit more to that heartfelt or just that emotional argument. And so the one thing I want you to really be working on next time is I want you to know your numbers. And I want you to start using the numbers. Don't reference a great pro forma. Show me the balance sheet. Show me why it makes sense.
That's fair. It's fair.
I'm just kind of curious, if Carson had used more numbers, how many of you feel like you might have gotten a few more votes? That possible? Yeah, so I think that was the weakness and we can work on that.
It's great.
Other than that, he did do a good job, guys. Give it for Carson. He will get a punishment. I mean, a consequence. Yeah, and for me to all of you guys, thank you for coming and participating and taking the time out
seriously
of a busy
appreciate
day
it.
to come and play. And we appreciate you, and we'll appreciate featuring you in the video. You are all smart and intelligent and making good moves in your life, and hopefully you walked away with a little bit something here that might be useful for your next move as well.
That's right. And so we'll make sure that we've got the one with the crying with Carson. Yeah.